Have you ever heard of Kaspar Hauser? In 1828, a teenage boy suddenly appeared on the streets of Nuremberg, Germany. No family, no past, no explanation. He could barely walk. He could barely speak. And when people asked where he came from, his answer made everyone stop laughing. Kaspar claimed he had spent his entire life locked inside a small dark room. No windows, no human contact, just bread, water, and silence. Doctors examined him, and here's the strange part. His body actually supported the story. His legs were unusually weak. His eyes were extremely sensitive to light, and he reacted to the world, like someone seeing it for the first time. Some people believed him. Others thought he was running the most ambitious scam of the 19th century. But then things took a darker turn. Kaspar was attacked. Not once, more than once. And a few years later, he was found dying from a stab wound, claiming someone wanted him gone forever. So who was Kaspar Hauser? A victim of imprisonment? A political secret? Or a mystery so strange that even history couldn't agree on the answer? So let's go back to the beginning, because the way Kaspar Hauser appeared wasn't just strange, it was theatrical. On May 26, 1828, a boy stumbled into the town square of Nuremberg. He was around 16 years old, dressed in old, ill-fitting clothes, carrying 2 letters, and he could barely stand. People gathered around him, asked him questions. He responded with only 2 phrases. "I want to be a soldier like my father was," and "don't know." That was it. He couldn't answer where he came from. He couldn't say who his parents were. He didn't seem to understand basic concepts. Someone handed him a piece of meat. He recoiled like it was poison. He only wanted bread and water. Someone tried to give him beer. He refused. It was like watching someone interact with civilization. For the very first time, the letters. Now about those 2 letters. One was supposedly written by his mother. It said, "This child has been baptized. His name is Kaspar. His father was a cavalry soldier. Take care of him or kill him." Cheerful stuff. The second letter was addressed to the captain of a cavalry regiment. It said the boy wanted to serve, like his father had. But here's the problem. Both letters appeared to be written by the same hand, and neither explained where Kaspar had actually been. So the authorities took him in, put him under the care of a jailer named Andreas Hiltel. And that's when people started paying attention. The examination. Doctors, teachers, and curious nobility came to observe Kaspar, because he wasn't just uneducated. He seemed unsocialized, like a feral child, but not wild, blank. Here's what they noticed. His legs were weak. He walked with a strange, stiff gait, like someone who'd never used their legs properly. His skin was pale, almost translucent, like he'd never seen sunlight. His eyes were extremely sensitive to light. Bright rooms made him squint and cry. He preferred darkness. He had no concept of depth or distance. He would reach for objects far away, as if they were right in front of him. He didn't recognize common foods. Meat disgusted him. Vegetables confused him. He only ate bread and drank water. He had an unusual sense of smell. He could detect scents from far away, like his other senses had compensated. For years in darkness. And when they asked him about his past, he told a story that sounded impossible. The story. Kaspar said he had lived his entire life in a small, dark room. He didn't know how long. He didn't know where. The room had a dirt floor, a low ceiling, no windows. He slept on a pile of straw. Every day, or what he assumed was a day, he would wake to find bread and water left beside him. He never saw who brought it. Sometimes the water tasted strange, and when it did, he would fall into a deep sleep. When he woke, his straw had been changed. His nails had been trimmed. His hair had been cut by someone, but he never saw them. For years, this was his existence. No conversation, no sunlight, no human contact, just bread, water, and darkness. Then one day, a man appeared. The man taught him to write his name, Kaspar Hauser, taught him to say, "I want to be a soldier." And then, the man led him out of the room, brought him to the edge of Nuremberg, and left him there, alone, with 2 letters, and no explanation. The reaction. So how did people respond to this story? They lost their minds. Some believed him immediately. They saw his physical condition. They saw his reactions. They saw someone who genuinely seemed disconnected from the world. But others? They thought it was a con, a brilliant, elaborate scam. Because here's the thing. Kaspar wasn't stupid. He learned quickly. Within months, he was reading, writing, speaking in full sentences. He showed intelligence, curiosity, emotional depth. And some people thought, if he's this smart, maybe he invented the whole story. Maybe he was a runaway, a criminal, an actor, playing the role of his life. The theories began, but then the really wild theories started. Because Kaspar's story didn't just raise questions about him, it raised questions about why. Why would someone imprison a child for years? What's the motive? And that's when the nobility got involved. Rumors started circulating that Kaspar wasn't just some random boy. He was someone important, someone dangerous. The most popular theory? That Kaspar Hauser was a stolen prince. The prince theory. Here's how the theory goes. In 1812, the Grand Duchy of Baden, a German state, has succession crisis. The Grand Duke, Karl, had a son, an heir, but the infant died under mysterious circumstances shortly after birth, and the succession passed to a different branch of the family. But what if the baby didn't die? What if he was kidnapped, locked away, hidden, so that someone else could take the throne? And what if that baby was Kaspar Hauser? People started doing the math. Kaspar's age matched. His appearance matched descriptions of the royal family. And some claimed he had mannerisms that seemed noble, refined, even like he'd been raised with some kind of structure. Even in isolation, the theory exploded. Suddenly, Kaspar wasn't just a curiosity. He was a political scandal. Newspapers wrote about him. Poets romanticized him. Investigators scrutinized him. And powerful people started getting nervous. The first attack, on October 17, 1829, Kaspar was found in the cellar of his guardian's house, bleeding for a head wound. He claimed a man in a black mask had attacked him, tried to kill him, but there was no sign of forced entry, no evidence of a struggle. Authorities were skeptical. Some thought Kaspar hurt himself for attention. Others thought he was lying, but a few believed him, and they asked the obvious question. If someone wanted him dead, why? What did Kaspar know? Or what did he represent? That was dangerous enough to kill? The investigation. The authorities launched an investigation. They tried to trace Kaspar's origins. They interviewed him, hypnotized him, searched for the mysterious room. They found nothing. No room, no captor, no evidence. It's like his past had been erased or never existed. Meanwhile, Kaspar was moved from guardian to guardian. Some treated him kindly. Others grew frustrated with him because Kaspar was difficult. He was moody. He lied sometimes. He exaggerated. He wasn't the innocent victim people wanted him to be. He was human, complicated, and that made people doubt him even more. The second attack, on December 14, 1833, Kaspar came home with a deep stab wound in his chest. He was bleeding badly. He told his guardian that a stranger had lured him to a park, handed him a bag, and then stabbed him. In the bag, a note. It read, "Hauser will be able to tell you how I look from where I came and who I am. To save Hauser the effort, I will tell you myself. I come from the Bavarian border on the river. I will even tell you my name. MLO. Cryptic, taunting, and completely unverifiable." Kaspar died 3 days later. His last words were reportedly, "I didn't do it to myself." The aftermath. So what happened after Kaspar died? The investigation intensified, but it went nowhere. No suspect was found. No motive was confirmed. The mysterious MLO was never identified. And people were left with two possibilities. Option 1, Kaspar was murdered. Someone wanted him dead. Maybe because he was a prince. Maybe because he knew something. Maybe because his very existence was a threat. Option 2, Kaspar stabbed himself, either for attention, or because he was mentally unstable, or because he wanted to die and make it look like murder. To this day, historians are split. The evidence for murder. Here's what supports the murder theory. The physical wounds were severe. Kaspar's stab wound was deep. It punctured his lung. Doctors said it would be difficult to self-inflict at that angle. The first attack. If the first attack was real, it suggests someone was targeting him. The letters. The cryptic notes suggest someone was playing a game, taunting authorities, the royal connection. If Kaspar was connected to nobility, powerful people had motive to silence him. The evidence for suicide or self-harm. Here's what supports this self-inflicted theory. No witnesses. Both attacks happened when Kaspar was alone. No suspects. Despite investigations, no one was ever identified. Kaspar's behavior. He had a history of exaggerating, of seeking attention. Some thought he craved drama. The wound angle. While difficult, it was technically possible to stab yourself that way. The note. It could have been written by Kaspar himself. So which is it? We don't know. And that's what makes this case so endlessly frustrating. The DNA test. In 1996, scientists tried to solve the mystery. Using DNA, they tested blood samples, allegedly from Kaspar's clothing, and compared them to living descendants of the royal family of Baden. The result? No match, which would suggest Kaspar wasn't the lost prince. Case closed, right? Not quite, because the sample's chain of custody was questionable. The blood might not have been Kaspar's, or it might have been contaminated. So even science couldn't give a definitive answer. Who was Kaspar Hauser? So after all this, who was he? Here are the possibilities. 1. A stolen prince, hidden away to protect a royal succession. Murdered when he became a threat. 2. Un artiste, a brilliant actor who invented a tragic backstory and fooled an entire city. 3. A victim of abuse. Not royal, just a child who suffered unimaginable cruelty and then died mysteriously. 4. A mentally ill person, someone who believed his own delusions and ultimately harmed himself. We'll probably never know why this story endures. Here's why Kaspar Hauser still fascinates people 200 years later. It's a perfect mystery, just enough evidence to keep you guessing, not enough to give you answers. It asks existential questions. What makes us human? Is it memory? Connection? Experience? Kaspar had none of those. And yet he learned. He loved. He suffered. It's tragic. No matter which version you believe, Kaspar's life was sad. He was either a prisoner, a liar, or a victim. And he died young, alone, in pain. The legacy. Kaspar Hauser became a symbol. Writers wrote about him. Werner Herzog made a film about him. Philosophers debated him. He became the archetype of the isolated soul, the person disconnected from a world. And in a weird way, his story resonates even more today. In an age of loneliness, of disconnection, of people raised by screens, instead of human contact, Kaspar Hauser is a warning and a question. What happens to a person when the world forgets them? Final thought. Kaspar Hauser appeared in 1828 with no past and disappeared in 1833 with no answers, just a grave in Ansbach, Germany, with an epitaph that reads, "Here lies Kaspar Hauser, riddle of his time. His birth was unknown, his death mysterious." That's it. That's all we get. A boy who claimed he lived in darkness, who learned to speak, who may have been royalty, who may have been a liar, who may have been murdered, or may have chosen to die. We'll never know, and maybe that's the point. Some mysteries don't want to be solved. They just want to be remembered. And Kaspar Hauser, he'll be remembered forever as the boy who came from nowhere and left us with nothing but questions